certainly there's so many of you out there with friends and family who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect this country and everything that it stands for. And I've talked about this before. We were going to bring in Frank Siller here in a moment. I don't know if he's had the opportunity to do this. One of the greatest trips I have ever taken in my life was I got to spend an entire day touring the beaches of Normandy. I've talked about it on the program before. We had a private tour guide, took the boys, all three of my boys, wife, met our tour guide in Normandy. He took us around to all the beaches. So much of that area still looks the exact same as it did 80 some odd years ago. We toured the cemetery there where they have so many American soldiers who are laid there in the rows of white crosses. We bring in now Frank Siller, who lost his brother on 9/11, which is how Tunnel to Towers came to be, one of the truly great charities that exists anywhere. Frank, I know you are a student of American history in many ways as well. Have you ever had that opportunity of touring the beaches of Normandy? And if not, has there been a place outside of certainly New York City where you have been raising money and fighting back against what happened on that day on 9/11 that you have toured that has particular resonance for you as you think about Memorial Day?
Yes, well, of course. There's so many places that we could go to honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, and certainly in Arlington, which I've been to. I mean, I think most Americans
Oh, yes.
yeah, should be there. But I was invited last year for the anniversary of D-Day to parachute into Normandy.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I was invited by these great, the 12 Horsemen, the guys who rode in on Afghanistan. These special
Yes.
forces, Green Berets, and I honestly, because I didn't serve, I said to them, "There's two reasons why I'm not going to do this." And number one, I said I didn't serve. So I feel others should do it because they're going to have me on their plane that they were going in. We do a lot of things together, and they help raise a lot of money for the foundation, and they speak all over the country for us. And I said the second reason is I'm not jumping out of any plane. and, and I said the second reason might be the first reason. I don't know if I'd have the courage to jump outside the plane. That's why these heroes that do these things, they're extraordinary. They're extraordinary that they have the courage to not only just jump out of a plane, they're jumping out of a plane that is being fired upon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So these heroes have given us our country. We have to on this sacred weekend. We must remember them and their families, what they've done for us, and this great country that we live in. So. And I know you're always preaching that to everybody, and I thank you and Buck for doing it always.
Well, we feel fortunate to be able to talk to an audience that has so many people who have given their utmost, along with their families, to ensure the freedoms that we all have. You mentioned not wanting to jump out of an airplane. I've never jumped out of an airplane either. But Frank, one of the baddest ass stories, and there were a lot of those from the greatest generation. The majority of the guys that ended up in the 101st Airborne and ended up jumping in, many of them on D-Day, the first time they ever went up in an airplane, they jumped out of it. Can you imagine, like, for anybody out there that is listening to us right now, if you can remember the first time that you were on an airplane, many of these guys are just farm kids. They hadn't hardly been anywhere. They end up in the Rangers here jumping out of airplanes. They had never even been in airplanes before. Think about this. You take off, you're in the sky for the first time ever in your life, and they're like, "Okay, kid, you're jumping out now." I mean, it's just a different level of bravery and balls, frankly, than you
Yeah.
see almost anywhere. Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine that, and that's why we owe so much to the greatest generation. I mean, God, what they did. But you know what? After 9/11, and when our men and women went over in Afghanistan and Iraq and fought that war for so many years, found out that we still have the greatest generation. These kids that went and to protect us here, so another 9/11 wouldn't happen, are incredible. And that's why the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, we're indebted to every single one of them, and why we've made the promises that we've made, Clay. And you've been to so many of our events. You see the great heroes that we have there, and these families once again have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And we made a promise that, God forbid these great heroes don't come home, they leave behind a young family, we're going to deliver them a mortgage-free home, or if they come back catastrophically injured, we're going to build them a mortgage-free smart home, to give them back some of their independence. And we've been doing that for quite a while now. And, this weekend we're giving away 25 mortgage-free homes to some of these great heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice in their families.
That's a tremendous gesture. Especially we're sitting here now, I think I've got the math right. We're coming up on the 24th anniversary of 9/11. Yep. Next year will be 25, and I know there probably will be even more attention being shined upon it. Can you believe that it's been 24 years since that day?
No, I can't. It's I look at my brother's. My brother had 5 kids when he died on 9/11. When he made that heroic run through the tunnel to the towers, with his gear on his back, and he had his youngest child was 9 months old. Now that 9-month-old, 2 days ago, we did a house dedication up by Albany, New York, for a smart home for specialist Mike Maynard, and my nephew spoke at this. Now he's 25, and he spoke. And he spoke so beautifully about his dad. He's Steve Jr., Steven Siller Jr. And I'm looking at him, I'm saying, I couldn't even speak after him. I was so emotional. Yeah. And I'm saying, it's 24 years later, but it's so painful, and the loss is still there. And that's what all these families go through, not just 9/11 families, all these Gold Star families, all these police officers and firefighters that die around our country every year. And, this year we're paying off over 200 mortgages for these great heroes, all over the country. And, so there's a big price that's always made. And no, I cannot believe it's 24 years later, but we must make sure that people don't forget. And, on weekends like this, people, I hope, remember, I know they all want to have a nice barbecue, me included. But when we have this barbecue, we're talking to my grandkids. We're telling them all about, what happened. I was at a dinner last night where they raised a lot of money for the foundation. It's run by a guy who's a paratrooper himself during Vietnam War and a Purple Heart recipient. And he has this beautiful golf course, country club in New Jersey, Eagle Oaks. And he puts on this beautiful event, and he raised $500,000 for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to make sure that we continue the work that we're doing. And General Flynn was there. He was the keynote speaker. And it was a beautiful night. But I had my grandchildren there. I had my grandchildren there to make sure. Some of them are too young, but some of them are not. And they were there, and they hear all these stories of heroism. And you got to start teaching your kids and your grandkids early on about America and why we are the greatest country that ever existed.
Next year, President Trump will be in charge of the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, really our founding as a country. It'll also be the 25th anniversary of 9/11. You know President Trump pretty well. You and I feel like I know him pretty well at this point, too. But for people out there who don't know him, Memorial Day, what do you think it means to President Trump, and what has President Trump meant for Tunnel to Towers in your experience knowing him?
Well, he is a great supporter of Tunnel to Towers. There's no question about it. He loves what we're doing. I've spoken to him several times about the foundation. He knows everything about Tunnel to Towers. This guy knows everything about everything, just about. But it's incredible the knowledge he has, but he cares at such a level. Let me just tell you one quick story about President Trump. I got a call around September 11th, this past 2024, this past year. And he was coming in to pay respect at Ground Zero. And they asked me to where should he go, the president's team. And I said, you really don't need me for that, but I'll be more than happy to help you. And I suggested this one firehouse, which anybody that knows anything about the sacrifice that was made would suggest this firehouse. 4 and 15. Which is a firehouse that's pretty close to Ground Zero. And so he goes. He goes there. He's down at Ground Zero with the reading of the names, and we go over there in a motorcade to go to meet the families. They lost 15 families plus at this firehouse on 9/11, and he stays there for an hour, and talking to whatever families of the 15 that were there, holding their conversations with them, looking at the internal memorial that they have inside the firehouse. He was so in tune to these families, and I'm one of those families, not from that firehouse. My brother was at Squad 1, but he was so gracious with his time and with his emotions. It was beautiful to watch. Nobody saw that. Press didn't cover that. You know what I mean? So nobody saw that, and he was doing all that, and that's where he is, especially one-on-one. He's incredible about how much he cares. And if you've made a big sacrifice, if you protected our country or our community, he's even more in tune to it and wants to help out. So I know that he has big plans for the 250th anniversary of this great country, and I know that he wants to be part of that, and I know he wants to help us with the 25th anniversary of 9/11. He wants to help the Tunnel to Towers Foundation because we don't waste people's money. You could see where it goes. It takes care of mortgage-free homes for these great heroes that have done everything for us. So he is somebody I can rely upon to help us on our mission to do good and get the word out there to make sure that we never forget.
No doubt. We're talking to Frank Siller, Tunnel to Towers. I was with you in October of last year and saw you raising millions of dollars at the Liberty Golf Course in New Jersey. And then I was with you just a couple of months ago down at Trump West Palm Beach, and I saw you raise millions of dollars more. You don't stop. But for people out there that are listening to us and are interested in helping you to help as many people as possible that are making sacrifices, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice, often the ultimate sacrifice for our country, how can they help?
Well, it's simple. Go to T2T.org. Obviously, it stands for Tunnel to Towers. So the number 2, T.org, and donate $11 a month. It's not a lot. We're not asking you to do a lot, but you should do something. Everybody who's listening, it's your responsibility to do something for these great families that are left behind, or if they're catastrophically injured, when we give them a mortgage-free smart home. It is your responsibility. Tunnel to Towers has made a promise that we're going to take care of every family who dies in the line of duty and leaves a young family behind. We're going to pay off their mortgages. We're going to give them a mortgage-free home, and we're going to do that for catastrophically injured. And now, we're doing for homeless veterans. Over 10,000 homeless veterans off the street the last 2 years. I just finished. We just bought 19 new properties. We broke ground in Atlanta, Bradenton, Florida, Memphis, Bayville, New Jersey, Harrisburg, Denver, Buffalo, New York, Detroit, in South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, Orlando, Sacramento, Cleveland, Bronx, West Palm Beach. In Puerto Rico, we're building a homeless veteran village in Puerto Rico because you cannot believe how many great heroes have served us from Puerto Rico, served our country. Jackson, New Jersey, Portland, Charlotte, Kansas City, Seattle, Dallas, Austin, Long Island, Las Vegas, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Again, we are doing this all over our country because there's too many homeless veterans out there in the street, and it's disgusting, and we can't let that be. So, we have a lot of work ahead of us, but not $11 a month, fire department says, many hands makes light work. So go to T2T.org and be part of those many hands so we could take care of these great heroes.
Frank, I appreciate everything you do. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and I'd encourage everybody to echo just what he said, T2T.org, and join us in giving a little bit to help a lot.
God bless you, and God bless America.
Amen. That is Frank Siller, T2T.org. I want to tell you, a lot of you out there are happy that you bought gold. Buck bought gold a decade ago. Do you know what it's gone since then? Up 160%. In fact, just in the last year, as the stock market has been a bit wobbly, gold has grown in value by 30%. Gold makes a lot of sense for a large number of you when it comes to your investment portfolios, because gold is the ultimate and has long been the ultimate physical asset that will retain value. They've been using gold for thousands of years. It is always going to retain value. And one of the best ways you can protect your savings is with diversification. Best company to do it, Birch Gold Group, company Buck relies on. One reason that so many people want gold is because you can use it in so many different ways in your portfolio. You can convert an existing IRA. You can convert a 401k into a tax sheltered IRA. Physical gold. This is actual gold bars. If you're worried sometimes about what assets you have and not having enough physical assets, gold should be and could be a very important part of your overall investment portfolio. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can do your own research, and here's how you can get it. Text my name Clay, so just CLAY, to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. No obligation, only useful info. That's my name Clay, 989898. Birch Gold will give you info so you can do your own research. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, tens of thousands of happy customers, and you can find out why from Birch Gold. Again, no obligation. Just text my name, Clay, CLAY, to 989898. You can also go online to birchgold.com/Clay. That's birchgold.com/Clay.